Alright, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and hello everyone. I hope whoever is watching are in the peak of health. My name is Haria Zapia Abdul Ghaffar, metric number A25PE0220. I am from Group 2. Today we are going to be presenting a slide regarding the topic of the silence of students during online classes. I had currently prepared two separate slides. Now, the first slide will cover the introduction of the upcurrent and trending problems, whereas the second slide will cover the whole aspect of digital platforms in the education industry. All right, we will start off with the first slide. The main question that I'm going to ask, have you ever noticed that online classrooms are a lot more quieter than traditional classrooms? Now, 72% of surveyed students reported that low engagement during lectures negatively impact and affected their online learning experiences. Meanwhile, 75% of students reported missing the in-person interaction with instructors and peers that are in the typical of traditional classroom. In a broad perception, in a separate survey of 3,089 North American higher education students, 78% of respondents indicated that their online experiences were not as engaging. As an institutional concern, a survey of university presidents in the United States found that 81% believe maintaining student engagement would be a major challenge when transitioning to online learning. These are from an article written by Brooke Hollister at the year of 2022. You can find this article at the website called Frontiers.
For the main cause of student silence during online classes, lack of face-to-face interaction, which is student feels isolated and disconnected from teachers and classmates. Second, absence of nonverbal communication without body language, eye contact, and facial expression. Students are unsure when or how to participate. Third, intentional silence for better learning. Some students remain silent to focus on important tasks, avoid unnecessary comments, and think carefully before responding. Main effect of student silence during online classes. First, reduce lecturer feedback, which is lecturer cannot easily assess students' understanding or identify those who need help. Second, negative impact on student engagement and performance, which is prolonged silence may lead to boredom, anxiety, lower motivation, and poorer academic performance. Lastly, positive effect when silence is intentional. Purposely, silence helps students process information, think critically, and provide more thoughtful responses.
Okay, now I will be presenting a solution to address the issue of student silence in online classrooms. Specifically, I will discuss how we can foster a more dynamic and interactive learning environment to encourage student participation. Okay, so let me begin by outlining the problem. A study has shown that a primary source of student frustration in online learning is the quiet atmosphere and the awkwardness that arise from prolonged silence. When lecturers ask questions and no one responds, it creates an uncomfortable environment for both students and instructors. This lack of verbal participation negatively affects classroom communication and meaningful learning. Okay, so what is the solution? One suggestion is to redesign the virtual classroom to promote a more lively and interactive student-centered space. Rather than relying solely on instructor-led dialogue, uh, lecturers should shift towards facilitating more student-to-student interaction. Okay, now Let me explain how this can be implemented. Okay, first, lecturers should actively facilitate more student-to-student verbal exchanges uh, rather than dominating the conversation themselves. This can be done through breakout room sessions where students can work together in smaller groups. Also, brainstorming activities can be designed to encourage collaborative thinking. According to Ho et al., these activities have been shown to increase the students' motivation and perceive their productivity. Additionally, instructors can lower the fear of losing face by providing immediate verbal feedback and restructuring complex questions to include designated thinking time for students. Okay, what are the advantages of this approach? By fostering an environment that reduces uncertainty around turn taking and normalize constructive feedback, virtual learning moves beyond being a mere information delivery system. It becomes an interactive community that more closely mirrors the dynamism of physical learning spaces. Students are more likely to participate verbally, which promotes motivation and deeper understanding. However, this approach is not without its challenge. A notable disadvantage is that it places additional demands on instructors. Mm, Who et al. Found that many students cited as uncertainty about when to take a speaking turn, which was especially noticeable when visual cues, such as cameras, were absent. This means instructors must actively monitor student engagement and put extra effort into implementing this approach. So, in conclusion, student silence is a significant issue in online learning that negatively impacts classroom communication and also the environment. Um, Also, the classroom environment. One effective solution is to shift the virtual classroom to foster a more dynamic and interactive student-centered space. While this approach places additional demands on instructors, the benefits of increased motivation, participation, and deeper understanding make it a worthwhile effort. Ultimately, instructors play a key role in transforming the virtual classroom from a passive experience into an interactive community.
Assalamu alaikum and hi everyone. Good evening from where I am recording this video. My name is Hamam Ismail and from Group 2 and I will talk about our second solution to our problem. This solution is about changing from sudden surprise questions to a more planned and structured way of teaching. First, let's take a look out at the problem again. As we said before, or as my teammate said before, many students stay quiet because they feel scared. When a teacher suddenly asks a question, students don't have time to think of a good answer. This makes them nervous. Also, in online classes, students cannot see body languages, or eye contact, so they don't know when it is the right time to speak. Because of this, many students choose to stay silent instead of taking the risk and embarrassing themselves. So, let's start with the first point. Our first idea is for teachers to send discussion questions before the class starts. That way, a student can revise the questions well, so when they enter this classroom, they can answer them. A study by Harvard Business, published from 2020, supports this idea because if students already know the questions, they have time to think and prepare their answers at home. This means when the class starts, they already feel ready. They are not surprised, so they feel less anxious to answer. Okay, our second idea is to use small breakout rooms. Talking in front of the whole class can feel very scary and overwhelming, even through even through a, s- even through a screen. But when students are placed in a small groups with only a few classmates, especially their friends, they will feel much more comfortable. It feels more like a small conversation with friends, not like being on a stage. This makes students more willing to share their opinions and to answer some questions. Okay, now for the third point. Our third idea is to use tools like polls and chatbots and sometimes vote systems. Not every student feel comfortable turning on their microphone or camera. With polls, student can just check in the answer or click it. With the chat box, they can type their thoughts instead of speaking. This gives shy students another way to join the discussion without the pressure of talking out loud and endangering themselves. So, when we combine all three ideas, sending questions early using small groups and giving nonverbal tools, students start to feel safe and comfortable. This is what we call as psychologically safe space. When students feel safe, they are more willing to join the discussion. So, by changing sudden questions into structured and planned approaches, online classes can become more active and more enjoyable for everyone. And this is my part of the presentation. Now I will pass it to the next person. Thank you for watching.
So, in conclusion, student silence is a major issue in online class because it was about engagement and reduced learning efficiency. Contrary to the belief that silent students are just focusing or taking notes, a quiet environment actually makes session less engaging for everyone. To solve this problem, teachers should design more engaging activities and encourage active interaction among students. Ultimately, these interactive approaches will make online learning much more dynamic, effective, and beneficial for all students. That's all. Thank you.